Caner Universe, welcome to Caner Tip Tuesday. Today, an important topic. Boy, they're all important, are they? Every single week. This is what every smart caner does, this one thing to be effective. Before we do that, hey, if you like the content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now so that you don't miss any future content, especially now early in 2023. Avail yourself of those two free resources. The first one, have you done your Cane Clarity call? It's a no-cost call. We actually schedule time to listen to you and give you an idea, give you an actual blueprint of how to make training with this tool outcomes based. That means we got a goal. This is how you're going to hit that goal and really answer any question, especially if you're brand new to the cane culture. It's going to save you a lot of time, funds, and frustration. And then go ahead, look at the description. There's a free, it's a private group, but all you have to do is request entry. They'll let you right in. It's called Cane Flow. Look at the description, and we'd love to see you in there as well. What is this one thing that caners in the know, trained caners, they do this one thing to be effective? We see a lot of violation of this principle, and in American cane boxing, and really in ACSD in general, it's not just ACB, is the whole concept of keeping it tight in the guard zone. You'll hear ACSD caners talk about, man, look at how tight he keeps that in his movements. Everything is in this little square. So in a nutshell, you picture a rectangle here covering you, and you have these, four corners and this midline, the center line. You have the same concept behind you, the same thing, and your movements should be tight in the guard zone. I'm going to show you 3 ways in terms of application that when you violate this, you get in trouble. The first one is in striking, and that means that generally, if I'm over here, and last week I spoke about tracking, and it ties in. They're almost symbiotic. If I'm over here dealing with anything, I really try not to have to get out and start striking out here. The strikes start getting wild, especially when you're under the duress of the moment. Those gross motor movements that you see. Set that down for a second and pull out a knife. Pull out, yeah. Hold that up so they can see that blade. So she's right, the blade, that's the rule of thumb in training. You never open that live blade. But if I'm dealing over here and you say, well, yeah, power shots, it's not this. It's not, look at this huge wind up and you're telegraphing shot, and then you come in here. Oh boy, that's not good. That's not good. This is you operating outside of your guard zone. You can still be, back it up just a tad. You know what, I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch here. And you can still back off, but it's tight. It's very difficult to penetrate this. So you want to keep that principle of keeping your guard zone regardless, especially when you're doing your strike, so that it doesn't leave you open. The second way where we see this is in the quote unquote blocking. You say, well, these are effective strikes. She's coming in from with cane now, so you see it a lot when you're defending against an impact tool, and I'm going to have her come from here so you see what I'm talking about, right? 2 things every ACSD caner will tell you. System was put together to deal against knife attack, and the second concern is what? Multiple assailants. So take a look here and think of it in those terms. You see something that looks like this, you say, well, this strike, this block, it covers the intended purpose, which is to go ahead and stop this in midpoint. Well, what about this? And not even with them, they're committed. I stopped them here. But what about that secondary attack? What about I don't? This whole thing, or coming over the top, and you see, bang, right? You see this movement out here. You will not find it in ACSD drills, exercises, the alphabet, which are the forms. You're never going to find that there. Yet, does it stop it? Yes. But there's a secondary concern. Look at this. Look at that. I don't want to find myself in this situation. There are other ways of getting that done that get you out of trouble. It's tight in the guard zone, and it puts your body movement and your footwork tied in to that concept, keeps you close enough that you can actually do something about controlling this attack. So if she's coming from that side, moving in right? And knocking that down, pop, and there I'm already in, and I'm tight the whole way through. The same thing happens, I'll have you do it from this angle, stop there. Rather than doing this, what you're gonna find with ACSD is something more that looks like this. Right? And now I'm in. Now, every ACSD caner who's been training for a while will tell you the cane teaches what? The empty hand. So I want you to think of it in these terms as well. If she's coming from over here, something like the equivalent of something like this, you should try and do and stop it out here. Right? You say, well, but with this one you have to get, so what? So what? The principle still says, I don't want to, whether I would do that, I don't want to do that. So if she's come, this is different. I'm moving in, I can knock that down and then get to the inside. But here's where the problem with this is staying out here, right? Now I come into the eye of the storm is to come in here and get in on that. And the same thing. I wouldn't do this, X block. I know it's popular, I know where it comes from. I get it. But there's another way of doing that, right? And that is to get in into that weak spot. Then you can go ahead and move from there. The third place that you find this is in any time that you're going to have to, quote unquote, grapple with this cane, the joint locking, for instance. I get asked all the time when you're talking about locking towards your center versus the opponent's center. So I'll show you what that is. And it's essentially that if you ever find yourself in this situation where you got jammed and this individual might be bigger, stronger, faster. Let's make sure that we're doing it in a hand that right. So she's got both hands there, and look where my center is, and now I'm trying to, this is not in my guard zone. She is outside of my guard zone. Look where my center is. And to try and come here, so I'm gonna do this movement, but she can still power that down. She could, right? Yeah, not good. So just from here, I want to show you this. If I just stay here and start aligning myself with her, look at what starts happening. And this is such an overlooked concept. The whole idea that if I'm to the outside and she jams me, I gotta bang. All right, let's do it from here if you're gonna feel better to that side. That. So if I'm over here, bang, and now I'm trying, look at where my center is. I could at times overpower her, but I don't want to be over here and having to deal here. It's the same thing with the striking, everything else. Just leave the hands there where they are. I don't want to have to do this. I'd rather do this. See where my center, how it lines up? Keep everything tight in here. Boom. Pop. Now I can move from there. Does that make sense? Try it and you'll see what I'm saying. Your training partner, whatever you're doing. That way, when you see the movements, this is why a lot of times when we see handling, those of you that are in the Cane Flow group, and you see any type of handling, and you see movements that might be coming out here, right? I'm trying to do the best I can. Why so far from your body? Why is it so far from your body? Far from your body because you don't want to get hit because you think it's going to get in the way. That has to do with brain training. It shouldn't be out there. Your handling should reflect the concept of keeping everything tight in the guard zone. That requires training. And speaking of training, before you do anything, text those letters, CCC, to 305-745-7839. Let's have a conversation first. Let's make sure, because it is absolutely it is the best way to do things right with this tool, is not to try to emulate. These are concepts that I'm giving you, but how do you connect it all together? And more importantly, people say, I learn from YouTube videos all the time. Who's evaluating you? Who says you got that right? Because if you don't got the set of trained eyes looking at you, then what are we doing, right? You wouldn't imagine, the majority wouldn't imagine, if you have kids, you dial back, right? You wouldn't send them to school with just books and no teacher, right? And there's the value of that. So go ahead and do that first. And let's have a conversation. Let's answer all your questions and see if there's a good fit. But that's how you do it right. I'm Joe Robaina for American Cane Self-Defense. Thanks for watching. Keep caning. Stay safe.